So first of all, you have to divide the given pattern into the format of the square matrix. So here we are having the 3 rows and 3 columns, right? So 3 rows and 3 columns. So we have to divide the given matrix into 3 rows and 3 columns. So here it is given, so 3 rows and 3 columns. Okay. So here if you observe, so we are having, so in the row format if you observe, so in the first row we are having the only 1 star. In the second row we are having 2 stars. And similarly in the third row we are having 3 stars. Okay. Similarly in the column wise, if you observe here, so in the first row we are having 3 stars, and second row we are having 2 stars, and in the third row we are having the 1 star, right? So that is the reverse format of the I. Okay, so it is in the inverse format of the number of rows. Okay, so in each row it is printing the row number of stars. Okay, like in the ith row, that is in the first row we are having the 1 star, and the second row we are having 2 stars, and third row we are having the 3 stars. Okay, so like that. So in the first row we are having, in the first column we are having 3 stars, and second column we are having 2 stars, and third column we are having 1 star only. So here it is in the inverse format of the number of columns is in the inverse format of the number of rows. So we are going to uh, draw the logic such that, so here, so in the first row we are having only 1 star. If you observe in the square matrix, okay, in the first row we are having the 3 columns, right? So in the given code, so if you execute the outer loop once, the inner loop will execute thrice, right? So for the first outer loop, the inner loop is going to execute thrice. For the second time after execution of the outer loop, the inner loop is going to execute thrice. And similarly for the third run of the outer loop, so inner loop is going to execute thrice. That means for each of the execution of the outer loop, it is going to, the inner loop is going to execute thrice, right? So here for each of the execution of the first outer loop, it is going to print the first column. Okay, for the inner loop it is going to print the first column, that is for the first run. And for the second execution of the inner loop, it is going to print the second column. So similarly for the third execution of the inner loop, it is going to print third column, right? Like that, for each run it is going to print the, it is going to execute thrice. So that means for the outer loop it is going to take, for the outer loop it is going to execute, consider a row, and for the inner loop it is going to print a columns here. Okay, so that means here the j value is dependent on the I. Okay, so the j value is dependent on the I value. Okay, so that we can see here. So here the j value is dependent on the I value. So for the outer loop we have written as it is in the square matrix, that is for I equals to 1, I less than or equals to n, I plus plus, that is the number of rows. So I am considering here 3 rows. So for I equals to 1 and 1 less than or equals to 3, so the condition will become true, and j equals to 1, so it will go to the inner loop, j equals to 1 and j less than or equals to I. So why we are taking this condition means, we want to print only 1 star in the first row, and we want to print 2 columns, 2 stars in the second row. Okay, so for the inner loop, so I want to print only 1 star in the first column. That means I want to execute the inner loop only once. If I do like that, only 1 star will get printed. And if I am allowing the loop to execute thrice, means it will become, it is going to print the remaining stars here also. Code. Okay, so here j equals to 1 and 1 less than or equals to 1, right? So 1 less than or equals to 1, which is true, and it is going to print a star. Okay, after that j value will increment, and 2 less than or equals to 1 is false. Okay, it is false. So for the first run only, inner loop run, it is going to print a star in the first column. So after that, so it will come out of loop and it will go to the new line. That means the control will pass to the second one, that is second row. Okay, so again I equals to 1. So here the I value gets incremented. Okay, so I will become 2 now. So 2 is less than or equals to 3, which is correct, and it will control goes to the inner loop. So here j equals to 1, which is true, and 1 less than or equals to 2. Okay, so we're going to take 1 is less than or equals to 2, so which is true. So again the print, it is going to print the star. So after that, so again the for loop will execute. So for loop is going to execute until the condition becomes false. Okay, so next it is going to, j will get incremented, so j will become 2 now. Okay, so 2 less than or equals to, so I value is now 2, right? So 2 less than or equals to 2, which is true. So again it will print a star. Okay, so now 2 stars gets printed here. Okay, so now again the for loop will execute. So now j will become 3 and 3 less than or equals to 2, which is false. So the inner loop has failed, the condition is failed here. Now it will come out of the loop, and again the I value gets incremented in the outer loop. So now I will become 3, and 3 less than or equals to 3 is true. So the control will go to the inner loop. Okay, so now for the j equals to 1 and 1 less than or equals to I value, that is 3. Okay, so 1 is less than or equals to 3, which is true. So for each and every run we are going to depend on the I value, because so in the number of stars are dependent on the number of rows. That's why we are going to take the I value in the condition, which is true, and it is going to print a star. So similarly here j is going to print thrice here. So it is going to print thrice because I value is 3. Okay, so it is true, and it is going to print 3 stars here. Okay, so in the column it is going to print 3 stars. Okay, so that's why here I am taking outer loop. For the first time it is going to run the inner loop once, and for the second time it is going to run the inner loop twice, and for the third time it is going to run the inner loop thrice. Okay, so that's why, so based on the running here, so in the inner loop if it executes 1, it is going to print 1 star. If the inner loop executes 2 times, it is going to print 2 stars, and similarly if the inner loop executes 3 times, it is going to print 3 stars in the third row. Okay, you can consider the outer loop first row, second row, and third row. Okay, so in the first row it is going to print 1 star, second row it is going to print 2 stars, and third row it is going to print 3 stars. Okay, so this is how we are going to print the star pattern here. And simply if you want to print the format of the numbers, so in the place of star you are going to replace it with the number. Okay, so you can give %d, I, then it is going to print the number format. And if you want to print alphabets, if you give the if you are going to represent the ASCII value, then it is going to print the alphabets. So this is the same code, but we are going to change the variables in the printf. Instead of star, we are going to use the variables. Okay, so now let us see the execution of this half pyramid pattern program in the C language. So first of all, we will see how to print the star pattern in the C language. So this is how we can print the star pattern. So this is the program for printing the star pattern. So now we will run this program. So now first of all it will ask enter the number of rows, and if you enter the number of rows, based on that it is going to print the star pattern. and in the console, so we can print the up to 80 number of rows and columns. Okay, so if we exceed the 80 number of rows and columns, it is not, it will go to the infinite loop. Okay, so just remember that. So if you want to print the number of rows, just give the number of rows less than 80. So I'm going to give 5 here. So it is going to print the star pattern in this format. Okay, so what suppose here, if you want to print the star pattern, if you want to print the number pattern, okay, so if you want to print the number pattern in this format, so I'm going to just change, instead of star, I'm going to replace with a variable here. So instead of star, I'm going to replace it with the variable. So I'm going to give the, for declaring the variable, I'm going to give the integer format specifier followed by I. Okay, so if you save this program and run, then it will print the numbers. It is going to print the numbers in this given format if you change a variable. So I want to just to print the numbers in the next pattern, that is 1 1 2 and 1 2 3. Okay, so if you are going to give the variable j in this format, then it will print the variables. In this format, it is going to print the variables. Okay. Now if you want to print the variables in the decreasing format, okay, that is in the reverse format. Okay, so here I'm printing the values like 1 2 2 3 3 3. So if you want to print the values starting from 3, so in this format, then I'm going to change the variable here. Okay, so I have to change the for loop code here. Okay, so I have to change I equals to n and I less than or equals, sorry, I greater than or equals to 1. And so here in both in the rows and columns, we are going to decrease the value, right? So that's why I'm taking the minus minus operator. So here the value is starting from 3 to 1, right? So in the reverse format, so I'm taking the j equals to n value and j greater than or equals to I j plus plus. So we decrement the j value. Okay. So if you are going to run this program, I have to build this. It is going to print the numbers in the decreasing format. So here, if you observe, so based on the given code, so here we are going to print the I equals to n. It is going to take the n as the input. So I'm giving the number of rows as 5. So 5 to 1, it is going to print 5 greater than or equals to 1, right? 5 is greater than 1 only. Okay, so it will go to the inner loop and then it will start printing the values. So here j is n, that is j equals to 5, and so j greater than or equals to I, that is 5 greater than or equals to 5, which is true. Okay, so it is going to print a particular value here, that is a 5. Okay, so after that j is going to get decremented here. In the given code, j will get decremented. Okay, now j value will become 4, and 4 greater than or equals to 5. So which is wrong, right? So the condition will become false and only one value gets printed here. Okay, and the control will go to the next new line. So the outer loop will again start executing. So now I equals to 4 because I has been decremented here. So I equals to 4 and 4 greater than or equals to 1. So which is true, right? So here, so j is equals to 4 and 4 greater than or equals to, sorry, j equals to 5 and 5 greater than or equals to 4. So which is true, right? 5 is greater than 4. So now it is going to print this value 5 and j will decrement and now j will become 4. 4 greater than or equals to 4 is also true. So it is going to print next column in the same row. In the second row, it is going to print 2 columns. So after that one, so j will again decrement and 3 greater than or equals to 4 is false, right? So now the condition will fail and the control will go to the new line here. Okay. So again the I will become, so I value is 5 and 5 greater than or equals to 1, which is true. Sorry. So here I value will become 3. Okay. So I value will become 3 here and 3 greater than or equals to 1 is true. The condition will go to the for loop. And here, so the for loop is going to get executed here 3 times, right? So here, first of all, so I is j will execute for 3 times and it is going to print the 3 variables here. Okay. So based on the condition only the printing of numbers will change because here we are going to decrement the values. That's why so the values are get printed from 5 to 1. Okay. So for each and every level, so 5 is being decremented here. Okay. Now let us modify the variable here. If we are going to modify the variable j to I, okay, so it will give a different value. It is going to print a different pattern. So now it is going to execute